So what we have said on the onset last year is, okay, we are going to think about, and the data we've asked the data scientists within our institute and the people in the divisions that are making statistics, look at those areas where we can actually have success on a short notice. So come up with a work plan for 2017, and come up with the work plan that will lead to real, actual products, big data, statistical products that are in place. And probably by doing these projects, we are already solving a lot of the challenges and come across a lot of the challenges that will help us to solve the bigger challenges later on. So these are the areas that are basically we have established as the areas we are focusing on in this year in the short notice, and we're creating projects now. And actually, the status that we are in now is working with all the partners that were on the slide before, and talking to them about actual products and projects that we are going to do in the future. That can be bilateral with organizations, it can also be in consortia with other organizations. That's basically where we're in now. Okay, so this is the line of the strategy story and about what we are doing, and I will show you some examples on what we are doing. I think the first project is something we did with Google together. Google in the Netherlands, and a company called Data Provider. And the aim was, can we find out using big data from the internet something about the internet economy in the Netherlands? And I will not go too deep into this, but I will show you some of the results. Where do I have to point it? Yeah. So we got from the company Data Provider about 2.5 million websites of Netherlands from the Netherlands, website pages, of which around 900,000 were found to be websites of companies, and about 840,000 websites we merged into GBR, and GBR is our general business register, so that's a part of the administrative data we have. And we correlated them, and we found 550,000 unique business units in this general business register that corresponded with the websites. So here you see we are using sensor data or big data together with our administrative data. Well, it's not necessary to go on all these details, but you see what we find out is that about 70,000 web shops were available in the Netherlands currently, based on 28,500 businesses. Huge amount of these website companies, these internet companies, are very small. I have one person who is one company. But we saw also interesting things like what kind of percentages were retail and what kind of percentages were wholesale. But the interesting thing that we found is that there were some discrepancies between what we found on the website and what we found in the general business register. So this is all kind of challenges you will have to face when you're doing this kind of explorations when using big data. This was the final result. We presented this in a press release and in a press conference, I believe, even. Another thing we did is that we could identify the regional distribution of web shops. Where are the web shops located? And we saw clearly that there were concentrations of web shops for some reason in the west here, which is a very populated area. But this is a very rural area, and apparently that has a climate where you find a lot of web shops. Don't know why. Oh, there are, okay. I just heard from my colleagues there are a lot of universities there, and there's a big Google data center. I don't know whether that has an influence, but there was high level interest. We put it on a press release, and there were some comments made by Twitter and Facebook, I think, from the Prime Minister Rutte, and even Prince Constantine, who is the youngest brother-in-law of Queen Maxima. And there were positive comments. They were in Dutch, but trust me, they were positive. Another project we did is using satellite data. There's a system in the world, AIS, which is the satellite data of all the ships moving around. This was a collaboration with the 4 other statistical offices. And we tried to find something to do with this data. Now here you see the picture of all the ships' data from Europe, and it already shows that it's a lot of data. And it also shows that you have to be very careful when you're using big data, because apparently, according to this data, there are ships in the Sahara, which probably in these quantities is not very likely. So that's now from a methodological point of view, and from using big data and sensor data for official statistics, there's still a lot to be taken into account and to be developed. It's not easy, but we're working on it. The good thing is that we used it for our own country, and we could match all the AIS data with the data from the maritime data that were located in the harbor of Amsterdam. So that gave us the confidence that you actually can combine these data and work with it. Now this is a funny one, and just show it for fun and tell you something about the Netherlands. What we presented was the pepernoten index. Now I'll tell you what I don't know how to translate in Spanish, sorry about that, but pepernoten is a kind of candy. And in the 5th of December we have a children's event, and just before, 3 weeks before the 5th of December, this bishop from Spain arrives in the Netherlands by steamboat, I've been told. And he gives all kinds of presents to children, and the evening of the 5th of December to children. And one of the things that his assistants do is give candy away to children. And this is the pepernoten. Now we're 12,000 kilometers away from the Netherlands, and there are no Dutch children in the room. This is fake. This guy doesn't exist. It's the parents who buy the pepernoten. What? Now I know it just worked. The battery's out. That's interesting. Well, I'll say when to. Are you doing that already for half an hour? Or? Thank you. The battery, the thing is here. Okay, you go one back then. Now I plug you. Can you hold one back? Thank you. So what we did is, we have all the scanner data from the supermarkets at CBS. So from these scanner data, we can just easily find out what kind of pepernoten are being bought. And what we did is, well, we could find that a number of weeks before, you see that the parents are buying pepernoten for their children. Well, it's probably not very useful. You could think about, well, you can see something about how many pepernoten are being bought by parents about the state of the economy, but probably that will not be a very valuable indicator for the state of the union. But still, you know, it shows what you can do with the scanner data. Yes, please. Oh, this is much easier. This is an example. This is actually an official statistics. Look. Muchas gracias, ingeniero. This is. I hope it works now. This is an official statistics that's already in production, more or less. So, the roads in Holland, the highways and the provincial roads and many of the local roads are equipped with sensors. So you see these sensors in the road, and these sensors count the number of vehicles, and it can identify or distinguish passenger cars, vans and trucks. And we got this data. This is collected by the Ministry of Transport, and we have this data from the Ministry of Transport, and we were using that, and it now resulted in using this data to have a kind of road traffic intensity index that we publish. It's quite a good, it's 230 million records a day, so that's how many cars are passing these sensors, amounting to more than 130 terabytes of data, which in big data terms is not even that big. An example of how we use this, I have many examples today. I took this one, is that in the 1st January of 2016 we had a freeze spell. So it was very cold in the Netherlands and there was a lot of icy rain, so all these roads were icy. This is the northern part of the Netherlands. And just a week after, we could present the statistics about how that affected road intensity, traffic intensity. You see the dark blue lines. You see that there's a huge reduction. The numbers down there are the numbers of the roads. That within 1 week we could actually say something about the influence of that weather to, in this case, traffic intensity. So this works. This is statistics that you can find on our website, and you can look at every road in the Netherlands probably and see at what time, how many trucks or how many passenger cars on average are passing that area. I'm autonomous again, thank you. This is another one. We used, this is not an official statistics at the moment because it's rather experimental, but with a very surprising result. There's a company in the Netherlands that collects all the social media data, Twitter, Facebook, Hives in the past, and a lot more. And we have got hold of this data somehow. We got it from them. And we wrote an algorithm to find out with a kind of sentiment index algorithm to see if we could say something about the sentiment in the country. So, for example, looking at the words like happy or sad or depressed or whatever, and we put this in a graph. Now, we have an official statistics in the Netherlands that's called the Consumer Confidence Index, and what we found out is that the correlation of this graph with the official statistics was over 85%. We were happy, and it was surprising as well. But this gives us some confidence that this kind of technique and algorithms could actually work. It's not suitable for production yet because there are a number of areas where it goes wrong and where you have to work on and you have to improve the algorithm. For example, where it goes wrong is around New Year's Day, because then everybody is wishing each other Happy New Year, and then suddenly the consumer confidence is way up, and you have to correct for that, of course. But still, this is a very interesting possibility of using big data, and showing that you could even reduce surveying on these kind of sentiment things or social things by using big data, maybe in the future. And I think this is the last example. Don't want to bore you by all kinds of these examples, but this is for this experiment we used telecom data.